We have walked on the surface of the moon. We have sent robots to the deepest pressures of the Mariana Trench. We have split the atom and mapped the human genome. And yet, in the middle of modern China, there is a simple mound of earth that we are too terrified to open. For over 2,000 years, the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, has remained sealed. Hollywood will tell you it's because of an ancient curse. Folklore will tell you it's because of booby traps, crossbows rigged to shoot anyone who dares enter. But the real reason is far more disturbing. It isn't magic, it is chemistry. It is a tragedy of history that we are desperate not to repeat. Today, we are going to look beneath the soil to find out what is really hiding inside the forbidden tomb, and why, for the first time in history, science is telling us to walk away. The story of the tomb begins with a mistake. In the spring of 1974, in the dry lands of Xi'an, a farmer named Yang Zhifa was digging a well. He wasn't looking for history, he was looking for water. His shovel hit something hard. He thought it was a bronze pot, or perhaps a demon. What he pulled out of the ground would change archaeology forever. It was a life-sized clay soldier. Archaeologists rushed to the site. As they dug, the scale of the discovery became terrifyingly clear. This wasn't just a statue. It was an army. 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, 520 horses. And the most insane detail? No two faces are alike. Some are old, some are young, some look tired, others look fierce. It is believed that the emperor ordered actual living soldiers to stand for portraits, ensuring his army in the afterlife would be real. But here's the catch that most people miss. The Terracotta Army is not the tomb. They are merely the perimeter fence for a much larger, darker city underground. A city that, to this day, no living human has ever seen. According to the ancient historian Sima Qian, writing just a century after the emperor's death, the tomb is not just a coffin, it is a replica of the universe. Sima Qian wrote that the ceiling was studded with pearls to represent the stars in the Milky Way. The floor was a map of the Qin Empire. But instead of water, the emperor used something else to simulate his rivers and oceans. Mercury, the element of liquid silver. Sima Qian claimed that 100 rivers of mercury were made to flow mechanically, circulating forever in the darkness. For centuries, modern scientists thought this was just a legend, an exaggeration. Mercury was rare and expensive. How could they possibly fill a river with it? Then, in the 1980s, researchers probed the soil directly on top of the burial mound. What they found sent chills down their spines. The levels of mercury in the soil were not just high, they were off the charts, up to 100 times higher than the surrounding area. And here is the smoking gun. The distribution of the mercury in the soil actually matches the map of the Qin Empire's water system. The Yellow River, the Yangtze, they are mapped out in toxic metal beneath the earth. The legend is real. This creates a lethal problem for excavation. Mercury is highly volatile. If we open the tomb, that trapped mercury vapor, accumulated over 2,000 years, would burst out. It's not just dangerous for the archaeologist who breathe it in. It would be an environmental catastrophe for the surrounding region. The emperor built a tomb that literally breathes death. But poison air isn't the only defense. Sima Qian also wrote about the mechanical traps. He stated, craftsmen were ordered to make crossbows and arrows primed to shoot at anyone who enters the tomb. Skeptics argue that after 2 millennia, the wood would have rotted, the bowstrings would have snapped, and the mechanisms would be useless. Time is the ultimate disarmer, right? Not necessarily. When archaeologists recovered bronze swords from the terracotta pits, they were stunned. After wiping off the mud, the blades were still shiny. They were still razor sharp. Analysis revealed
They were coated in a layer of chromium oxide, an anti-rust technology that the West didn't invent until 1937. If the Qin engineers could preserve a sword for 2,000 years, could they preserve a trigger mechanism? It is a risk no one is willing to take. But surprisingly, the fear of death is not the main reason the Chinese government refuses to open the tomb.
The main reason is much more heartbreaking. Look at a picture of a terracotta warrior. What do you see? Gray clay? Brown earth? This is actually a tragedy. When the soldiers were first dug up in 1974, they weren't gray. They were vivid. They were painted in bright reds, greens, purples, and pinks. They were masterpieces of color. But the moment, the literal second that ancient paint interacted with the modern dry air of Xi'an, the lacquer began to curl. Within 15 seconds, the paint started to flake. Within 4 minutes, it fell off completely. The scientists watched in horror as centuries of art disintegrated before their eyes. We destroyed the very thing we were trying to save. And we have a precedent for this failure, a disaster that haunts Chinese archaeology to this day. In 1956, prominent Chinese historians pushed to excavate the Dingling tomb, the resting place of the Wanli Emperor of the Ming Dynasty. It was the first and only imperial tomb to be excavated by the People's Republic of China. It was a catastrophe. They opened the chamber, and thousands of priceless silk robes, ancient scrolls, and wooden artifacts encountered oxygen. They turned to dust and tar instantly. The carbonization was immediate. We gained a few gold ingots, but we lost the history. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang is filled with silk, paintings, and wooden structures. If we open it today with our current technology, we won't be discovering it, we will be erasing it. The emperor will vanish the moment we see him. So, is the door closed forever? Perhaps not. The future of archaeology isn't shovels, it's physics. Scientists are currently proposing the use of muon tomography. Muons are subatomic particles created when cosmic rays hit our atmosphere. They rain down on us all the time, and they can pass through solid rock. By placing detectors underneath and around the tomb, we can measure how these particles are absorbed. It's like an X-ray for the Earth. This could allow us to create a perfect 3D model of the interior, locating the rivers of Mercury, the placement of the coffin, and the layout of the treasures without ever letting a single molecule of air inside.
Qin Shi Huang spent his entire life obsessed with immortality. He searched for the elixir of life. He built an army to conquer death. In a strange way, he succeeded. By creating a tomb so dangerous, so complex, and so fragile that we are afraid to touch it, he has ensured his rest is undisturbed. He remains the only human in history to hold the world hostage with his own grave. Maybe some mysteries are better left unsolved, or maybe we are just waiting for the right moment to meet the man who united China. Until then, the rivers of Mercury continue to flow in the dark.